Hello everybody, this is Thomas Curry of the Northeast Wrestling Podcast, and today my guest is Hayden Tempest, which is formerly known as Mr. Society. Welcome to the podcast.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you for coming on.
Oh, not a problem, anytime.
And the first question is, how did you come up with your new name?
Well, there's actually a really strange story about that. Right, I was at the hospital with my partner.
Right.
And I was just sitting there waiting for her appointment, and some doctor popped his head out the door and he says, right, is there a Tempest here, Hayden Tempest? I must admit, I took a look over and he's going, yeah, Hayden Tempest. So then some mother and the kid steps up, like just a little 5-year-old kid. And I just thought, wow. Yeah, that is a name that is custom built for wrestling, and I'm going to steal it. And once they're old enough to get into training and start wrestling themselves, then they can have it back. Because by then I'll probably be too old to do it.
Yeah. Oh god. Because it seemed like a strange name when I first heard it.
Yeah, it's a very strange name.
Very strange name, but it's the same with anything though. Like if it's different. It's going to sound strange at first, but then once you get used to it and that, it'll just be like normal.
Yeah, I must admit, I think it grew on me from the very second I heard it. I mean, to me, most people, they'll either have one normal, boring name, like first, and then a really over-the-top name afterwards. Like you've got Johnny Nitro, right? Joey Mercury. So I just thought Hayden, which is boring and crap. Tempest, which is big and larger than life.
I do apologise if you can hear a buzzing sound in here, because we're in the Neon Social Club and we're in a function room and we don't really know how to control the speakers. We haven't got control over that, so if you can hear a small buzzing sound.
No, it's okay, just do what I do. I'm making believe that it's fans cheering.
Yeah. So, how did you come up with the Mr. Society name?
Well, that actually wasn't my idea at all. That was the person that I started training with just over 3 years ago. In fact, almost 4 by now. It was his girlfriend that came up with it. Right, and I must admit, when I first started it, I thought, well, that can't be the name. That's a gimmick. Right, Mr. Society as in a representative of either good or the bad side of society.
Yeah.
And then I was doing a seminar with Ewan G. Mackey, right? Amazing seminar, absolutely loved it. And he asked us if I had a character to work with on that one, and I was like, well, I've got a character. He went, oh, have you got a name? And I went, well, no. And the trainer pulled us up afterwards and says, you do know you've got a name, don't you? And I was like, oh, well, what is it? And he was, Mr. Society. And okay, I'll go with it, whatever.
I will, both unique names, I guess.
Unique's one word.
Yeah, definitely. Is there anybody that you watch to pick stuff out of for a character or in the ring or anything like that?
Well, there's a lot of influences I've got. Right. When I first started wrestling, it was Bret Hart, it was Shawn Michaels. They're the people that got us into it. Unfortunately, the first time I tried out wrestling, I hurt my knee, and I basically took 10 years for my knee to get back up to scratch, because some problem with my tendons and a major issue with shin splints. But I'd say Bret Hart, that's a major one. Around the local scene, the first person that I actually looked up to, and I'm not brown-nosing him at all, so I hope, is Dave Carbon. Right, he's. I just thought his movement around the ring, it was perfect. It was precise. Everything he seemed to do, there was no wasted motion. Right. After that, there was Cabby Klawowski. He stood out as an absolute technical genius. And with us being a big Bret Hart fan, I always wanted to be a more techie style person. Until a few people pulled us to one side and said, "Whoa, listen, mate, you're 6'4". Work with what you've got."
Yeah.
And the major influence that I've had, particularly for putting myself across to the fans, that would be Assassin.
Right.
He's I've learned so much from him. Right, and I've barely even had to ask. He's given us little bits of feedback, but most of it's just watching
him. Yeah. He's one of the people who's really good at engaging the fans.
Oh, very good. He's the best.
Yeah, exactly. One of the best around here for sure. Even like I prefer to see him as a face, but either way, he's so good at knowing what the fans hate.
I agree. To me, I've seen him work as a heel a few times, but to me, he's just Assassin. He's bigger than face or heel. Everyone loves him.
Yeah.
And I must say, I think he's great.
Yeah, so I completely agree. Have you done any other sports other than wrestling?
I was very martial arts driven from being a kid, which, being the height I am, I can't really use it as much in me wrestling because of me build and me height, and I don't want to make smaller people look bad for not being able to do like the big kicks and things like that. So it's karate, a bit of Muay Thai, a little bit of boxing. Wasn't very good at that one though. I like using my feet, I'll be honest. Basketball, that's my favourite sport.
Aside from wrestling? Different.
Well, I don't really define wrestling as a sport. I mean, to me, it is more of an art form.
Alright.
Right, it's there's a lot of performance in it.
Yeah.
And a lot of psychology in it. So I wouldn't define that as a sport.
I do consider it an art as well, but yeah, I think there's a lot of sport aspects to it as well.
Well, the fitness is important. I mean, you could be the greatest person in the world at like drawing people in, or making them angry, making them sad, or doing any of that. But if you can't do the moves, then it's pretty much pointless having all the rest of it to go in the ring.
So, how many years have you been wrestling? Everything added up?
Everything added up.
So how long did you wrestle for before you took a break?
It was only about 2 years, and I must say I didn't really do much.
Didn't do much?
No, I didn't get anywhere really. But,
where was that? Where did you?
I did 2 weeks at IWF, and then WZW was up and running at that time, so I went with them, and it was just over a year and a half. And well, as I say, hurt me knee. I was trying to suplex a really big person, right, called Tron. I believe he was 24 stone, and my knee went out. That was it. That was wrestling for me.
So how long's it been now? For a year?
Well, it adds up now it's almost 4 years now.
4 years. And you just been training with, is it Rad Pro?
I trained with Rad Pro. I've done a little bit of training with MPW. I've done various seminars. With the likes of Johnny Saint, Marty Jones. I missed out on a recent one that I really wanted to do, and that was Johnny Kidd. But I think Johnny Storm, Alligero, and a couple with Jason Prime. Right, but me big claim to fame with that one is at WZW they did a D'Lo Brown one.
Did they?
Yes, and I must admit I acted like a total little spud. I think I asked him about 8 or 9 times in the seminar if he'd do the low down on us. I just totally marked out for him.
Yeah. D'Lo Brown would it be for your favourite person you've trained with?
Actually, no. My favourite person that I've trained with, it would either be James Scott or Ewan G. Mackey.
Yeah, I liked James Scott. Like I've done two. You done 2 seminars when I was at Rad Pro, and I only done the one. But I watched the second one, and I learned a lot from James Scott. Like,
oh yeah, his knowledge on the business is really good.
Really good, because he's wrestled in Japan as well.
Yes.
Yeah. So that one, Johnny Kidd, as well. I enjoyed training with him.
Oh, I'm jealous now.
He's come back.
I know he's been around a few times, but I've never had the chance.
He's come back there in April. Actually, so
I think I'll have to note that one down.
Aye. So that'll be a good one. I'm definitely going to do that. Do you prefer working heel or face?
Well,
because I know you've done a bit of both. So.
I've done a little bit of face work, and I do enjoy it. It's, but I think on a more like what feels natural to us, I'm more for the heel. I must say, I'm much better at annoying people than I am making them happy.
I will. It was Nicky Starr was saying it's a lot easier to get a reaction out of people when you heel rather than like face. It's usually a generic reaction.
Well, I must say the face, usually the better the heel, the more the reaction the face gets.
Yeah.
I must admit, me pride aside, I do like being the person that gets that reaction.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know, face, you've got less to do, but it's more difficult to have the confidence to do it, I would say.
Yeah.
Where with the heel, you can just go out there and be whatever kind of person you want, really.
Aye.
As long as you're a bit of a, can I say the D-I-C-K word on here?
Yes, you can say anything.
It's easier to be a dick.
I know, like I was about to say, it's a lot easier to get people to hate you than get people to like you.
I do agree.
Music, are you big into music?
I used to be. I must say I used to get myself around quite a few bands, but lately all my time goes to wrestling and training, learning more. Mm-hmm. So the only music I really listen to is stuff that I think would sound good as an entrance music.
Aye.
It's I mean, wrestling's basically just took over my whole life.
Aye. Well, it's a common theme with a lot of wrestlers that because it's such a demanding business. Yeah,
there's a lot of time and effort. I mean, even when you're not training, even when you're not putting the shows on, you've got to look the part. And I mean, I'm starting to really push for that side of it, to make myself look like someone that people want to see, to look like someone that people would believe can do all this. Mm-hmm. So it does take up a great deal of time.
Where did the idea of social order come about? Was there an original idea, or did they just throw people together?
It was actually a random thing. It was me and Oliver Barrett.
Right.
We did an 8-man tag match, and when we came out, we gelled so well that we're playing off each other. You know, he was jumping up, giving us a hug, and not just cuddling us, not just putting his nose right beside me ear and whispering things to us, but wrapping his legs around us too. So, the promoter at the time, he said, "Well, I want to make this a tag team. Have you got any pink stuff?" And I was just like, "Well, I get some." And well, as I say, Social Order was born. They nicked my name to do it, obviously, but it was meant to represent everything bad in society at the time.
Well, it's how many members did there end up being? In the end, there was a lot of.
Right. I think the main 3 members, it would be myself, Oliver Barrett, Kendall Zumanov.
Yeah.
There was also Mickey, the main. Well, it was the main vein, Mickey Kane. Yeah, a bit of a play on words on that one. There was, let's think, there was Nicky Starr at one point. God, I can barely remember. Zeo Knox.
Yeah.
And I can't actually remember if there was any more. It was a while ago. I mean, Social Order's been gone for a while now.
Did you mention Biggs? Joseph Biggs?
Yes, hang on, he was in it.
Yeah, he was in it for a short period.
Very, very small time.
Yeah.
I do believe I clotheslined him across the face to get rid of him. It was, it was quite a memorable moment.
Yeah.
it was some good times. It was a fun group to be part of.
Aye.
We got to do basically whatever we wanted to do, and it was just fun.
It was a good group to watch. Like, it got to the point where loads of the fans would like love it because it was just so.
Oh no, I was getting sick of them singing along.
Singing, it was. I Touched Myself by.
It was the Divinals. I stuck to the original for that one.
And just after the music finished, it would go on for another few minutes. It was really. I can imagine it being annoying, but it was funny like to watch.
Well, it's annoying when you're trying to be the nice guy.
Yeah.
Right? But when you're trying to be the horrible person that's getting everyone to boo them and they're singing along, and literally there was so many points where I'd stop, I'd look at like whoever's singing and just go, "What are you doing?
Yeah.
This is a beautiful song. You are ruining my music. This is a great song. Stop it." And they'd be right in my face, singing away to us. I mean, I've never been serenaded before, but I know how it feels.
Do you have like a favourite match you've watched?
Oh.
Do you watch a lot of wrestling?
To be honest, I don't watch much.
Right.
But anything with AJ Styles, as people may be able to tell from my ring jacket.
Yeah.
Anything with Bret Hart, which anyone could tell from the colour of my ring gear.
Yeah.
But Austin Aries, anything he's in, he's done some absolutely amazing matches. Shinsuke Nakamura.
Yeah.
But I can't really say that I've got a favourite match of all time.
No.
It's, I've just got favourite wrestlers, and when they worked it well together,
it's
incredible.
Aye, because I watch my favourites more than I watch.
Same here.
I don't watch it every week anymore as I used to. It's loads of people said to me like, when you start wrestling, you'll just start watching it less. And I was like, yeah, it won't happen, man. It just happens.
You see, that's what I said. And then, because you obviously know that we all know each other outside of it. I was watching WrestleMania 2 years ago. It was a bunch of us all got together, and it was the Ronda Rousey one.
Yeah, 31,
Yeah, where I must admit, for the first time in years, I got me buzz back for watching wrestling.
Yeah.
It was incredible. Stephanie McMahon, she swings her arm, she goes to hit Ronda Rousey, and Ronda Rousey goosed her arm.
Aye.
Just kept a solid hold of it. Steph's crying, and I'm just looking, I'm going, wow. And then, 3V, he takes one look at the screen and goes, well, she's on the wrong arm. And I must admit, I felt a bit of my soul die. I just get that momentary buzz back for wrestling, and then all of a sudden, done.
That wrestling. You were telling us that, was it the last WrestleMania you watched before that? 31 was 16? 15?
I think it was 15, Stone Cold and The Rock for the title. Loved that one. And as much as it's a guilty pleasure, I absolutely loved the singing of the national anthem on that one as well. It was what's it, Boys to Men, Purple Mountain Majesty, I believe. That was incredible. It was better than a couple of the matches you get on the more recent WrestleManias.
So you've talked about like your favourite people to watch. Who are your favourite people to work with?
Oh God.
I know you're probably going to leave somebody out, but like,
if you'd asked us a few weeks ago, the list would have been shorter. Yeah. But the people I've been working recently, I'm really happy with. I finally got to have my match with Robbie Ryder, who he was so much fun to work. Right, like the guy just knows everything, and he's so humble about it.
Yeah.
He's just incredible. Anything you ask him to do, he already knows. You're halfway through telling him, and he's bam, got it.
Yeah.
Marvel Ass, that's a no-brainer.
They said the same thing about you, and
yes, I listened to that one, and I must say, I absolutely loved it.
Yeah.
As soon as our names got mentioned, it was like, wow, hang on, we've made it. But I must admit, it was incredible hearing us actually get referred to. I'd like to work Nicky Starr in a one-on-one.
Never done it before.
No, I haven't. I've worked with him in matches. I've worked with him in like Fatal 4-Ways, but never one-on-one. And it would be so much fun, I think. I mean, he looks as though he weighs about 60 pounds, maybe 70 if he's wet. But it's so much fun, I think. Other people, James Scott.
Mm-hmm.
Right, because after the first seminar, I got the privilege of working him on the show. And I must say, I've still got an irrational fear of Pepsi from that one, because he smacked us right in the head with a Pepsi bottle.
I remember that. I actually really enjoyed. I loved that match. You and James Scott in the main event. That was good. That.
All I know is there's been so many matches. I'm torn between my favourites. I've got three. There's either Marvel Ass the first time.
Yeah.
That's the second time I was listening to the podcast, and they're exactly right.
Yeah.
The second time we put too much into it. We had too much on. We wanted so much from this match because the first one was incredible.
Because it was so good.
Exactly. I think, say Robbie Ryder, such a simple match, but it just went perfect. Even like the mistakes just ran into the next thing, and it was incredible. And Yorkshire Dale. That was one of me earlier matches. I had so much fun on it. Well, everyone knows we wrestle to a time limit. Mm-hmm. And by the time by the time we got backstage, the promoter, he comes up and goes, what the hell was that? And I'm like, we did a match. And he's like, 35 minutes of it. I'm like, God, we weren't, were we? And I'd enjoyed it so much, I didn't even notice the time. I wasn't tired or anything, I was just raring to do more.
It's lovely. I guess that's good. Yes. Usually it's the opposite way around, like you expect it to go a certain amount of time and it goes less.
There's a lot of people like that, but if you get a match that you know your opponent so well, it just, 20 minutes, 25 minutes, even 30 minutes isn't long enough.
Quick, I'm gonna say, like, the favourite matches you've ever had that's similar to the one I've just said. I'll say that favourite matches you had as part of Social Order.
As part of Social Order.
Mm-hmm. Like with people from Social Order.
Let's see. With people from Social Order.
So like a tag match or.
You see, I didn't get the chance to do many tag matches.
You were the champ for a long time.
Yeah, at the time I was the Embryonics champion. But I don't know, me and Oliver Barrett versus Rabbit and Joseph Biggs, that one was good.
That was when Joe turned, wasn't it?
Yes, that was directly after the clothesline. Must admit, I thought he would have stayed down longer. But no, came right back at the end of the show, he was fine.
Yeah.
And I proceeded to beat him up a bit more.
Aye.
But my favourite match as part of Social Order, El Ligero. Yeah, because at the end, I hit him with a spear, got the 1, 2, 3. I went to hit him with another, and he sidestepped and basically hit us in the back of the head. And I flew over the top rope, and I think I pretty much squashed every single member of Social Order.
I remember that.
And I mean, at the time, I think I was 18.5 stone. And every one of them just flat. And, kicked one of them in the head, I know that.
I remember
that was a bit of an accident. But kick in the head, a hospital visit later. I don't think we've seen her again for a while.
No, I can't remember seeing her after that. So you've done, you've trained a few people at Rad Pro and MPW? No?
I've helped out more than anything. It's I wouldn't define myself as a trainer there.
Mm-hmm.
I've just helped out where I can.
Aye.
If you know what I mean.
Aye.
But
do you enjoy giving your input to people and helping them?
Well, I think in the wrestling scene, part of the biggest problem is the music.
which is just. Apologise if that's a little bit too loud. But
I think the main problem with the wrestling scene is that people don't share the knowledge enough.
Aye.
Right, it's usually once you get to a certain point, they stop, and they don't want you to take their spots.
Aye.
So they'll give you just enough to not be as good as them.
So they want you to do good, not too good.
Yeah. It's I must admit, if I can help someone get better than me, that's the pride I've got. I'm happy.
Yeah.
It's all good.
Aye. Well, I definitely agree. Personally, I know you've helped me a lot. When I was wrestling with Radford, you helped me a lot. Character-wise, mannerisms, stuff like that. That's what I always remember, stuff like that from Radford, and they helped us a lot. So, thank you for that.
Oh, not a problem at all.
Last question is, if you could work a program with anybody in the world, who would it be?
Well,
not just a match, like a steady program with.
To be honest, if I had to say for someone for me to personally work,
aye,
it would either be like a series of events with Marvel Ass,
aye,
right? Because I would love that, I really would. But one of my absolute heroes when it comes to looking at everything that I wish I could be,
aye,
Al Snow.
Al Snow, aye.
Yeah, he's one of the greatest in the world. And he's one of the most respected people in the world. I would love to work with him.
Aye.
Right, and now, anytime. Literally, yeah, Al, if you are listening to this, I'm going to send you it later. If you are listening to this, I want to work with you.
Aye. So that's a message out to all promoters who want to book Hayden Tempest versus Al Snow. There you go. So that was the last question. How can people book you?
Honestly, through my page. I've got the Hayden Tempest page on Facebook. It's a Weapon of Society at Facebook. Whatever.
Yeah. I can put the links in for you. So.
Right. Or Cabby Klawowski. He's a good person to get in touch with. He knows us personally, so.
Yeah. So just them two, yeah.
That's the best way.
Yeah, Twitter, Instagram, anything like that.
I don't do technology. I'm not very good. I'm looking at this microphone and I really don't know. It doesn't look the shape of a microphone. It looks more like an egg.
Thank you for coming on. It means a lot. It's probably going to be noisy when I listen to this back, but hopefully you can hear it well enough. It was out of our control. We couldn't do anything about it.
It's average music.
Average music.
Pretty decent. Was surrounded by old people drinking John Smiths.
Yep.
It's all fine.
It's all fine. As long as you can hear us, that's fine. So I hope you all enjoyed the podcast. I hope you enjoyed being on.
Yes, I enjoyed it thoroughly.
Aye, and I'd have you on again anytime. Yeah. So
thank you very much.
Well, thank you for everyone who's listening, and I'll see you all later. Bye. Alright guys, before I go, I just want to say a big thank you to Rad Pro Wrestling and the Neon Social Club, who allowed me to come and record at the show, and of course at the Neon venue. Big thank you to Mr. Society for coming on the podcast. I do sincerely apologise about the sound quality, because it was not to be helped. I spoke to the owner of the club and he said to go into the function room. He said a few people may come in. I wasn't aware of how many people would come in, and I didn't think there would be around the area that we were sitting in. That wasn't the case. There was also a buzzing sound for the most of the podcast, for the full of the podcast really. Like I say, I couldn't really mess around with the computer and everything in the room, because I didn't have that right. It wasn't anything to do with me, so I couldn't really do that. So yeah, I say, I apologise. You can hear a lot of background noise, so I apologise about that. But I hope you just enjoyed the video, and I hope you enjoyed the podcast. And make sure to check out next week's podcast, because it's a big one. next week's podcast is with none other than the absolute supreme champion, Bubblegum. So really looking forward to doing that, and I'm really looking forward for you all to hear it. Hope you have enjoyed today's podcast, and I'll see you all later. Bye.